So a number of months ago, we started our own YouTube channel and put a few things out there, and we got busy with Christmas and other stuff happened. And so we've been talking about gearing things up again. And the main idea behind it was to show off, what we have here at the store, but also more important is to show what to do with them. So the first one in our series of this is going to be flank steak. We carry the flank steak from Seven Hills. Seven Hills is a slaughterhouse in Lynchburg that buys from area Angus farms, and we carry a number of their beef products, and it's absolutely extraordinarily good. And it's local, which is nice, but it is absolutely a step above what you can get in grocery stores. So we get questions all the time with some of the cuts of meat that aren't, the normal cuts like a ribeye or a strip steak or something like that. So this is going to be the first in our series. It's about flank steak. It's how you handle it, what you do with it once you bring it home, and how you cook it. So we will continue to do these, and hopefully you like it and let us know. All right, so what we're going to do is trim up the flank steak. They come packaged with some fat on them, and you want to take that off and just get rid of some of the excess. You want a little bit of it because fat adds flavor. So we're going to take this out, lay it out. This one was kind of crumpled up in there. You can see it's very nice and flat. All I'm going to do, see, flank steak has a very strong grain running through it. So when we slice it, it's not very thick at all. But when we slice it, we're going to want to slice across this to make it a little bit more tender. We're also going to want to slice it thin. So what I'm going to do is take off some of the excess fat. You don't have to take off everything. I'm going to trim this up a little bit. Probably take that off. I said, all we're doing is taking care of the excess. We want a little bit. And probably this side here. It's a little bit thicker back here. It doesn't have to be perfect. Some of it's going to melt off anyway. But we're just kind of take care of this. And if you're grilling it, you want to do this anyway because it'll prevent. It cuts down on the flare-ups. It may not prevent them, but anything you can do for that, we're just going to trim that little piece off. And that. So now we've got a nice piece. That's got to have a little bit off on that. Here we go. So from here, what we'll do is we're going to take and marinate this. It's beef. You can marinate overnight would be ideal, but a few hours. Chicken only for maybe an hour or two, and seafood you only want to do for maybe half an hour. But we're going to take and put a marinade on this. All right. From here, I'm just going to do a very simple marinade. There's a lot of stuff you can do with flank steak because it's got such a heavy grain to it. It can be a little bit tougher. So what I'm going to do, just a very basic marinade here with some Worcestershire sauce, just a little regular cooking oil. I put some granulated garlic. Coarse ground black pepper. Now, really, what you could do something as simple as just putting it in Italian dressing. For the video, this is more about what you do with it rather than certain recipes or anything. There's a million and one marinades for beef out there, and you got to find stuff that you like. This is just real basic. It's just, Worcestershire, regular oil. If you do olive oil and you're going to put it in the refrigerator, what you'll find is olive oil will tend to thicken up and get kind of cloudy. Now when it burns off, it's fine and all, but it's just regular oil is fine. It's for this anyway. So what you want to do is marinate this for probably 3 or 4 hours at a minimum. Overnight is better. And we're going to take, and you can throw this on the grill. Grilling this is a really nice way to do it, but we don't have one of those, so I'm just going to do this on the flat top and all. So on to the next step. Now that we've had the flank steak marinating for a while, I'm going to take, it'd be nice, most of you all have a grill, and that is really the nicest way to do this. We don't have that here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do it on our big flat top. And really, if you wanted to, you could cut it in half if you got a nice cast iron skillet. If you don't have a grill, you can do it that way. But what we want to do is give the outside, get it been nice and brown. And the idea is, same thing with on your grill, that brown is what caramelizes the outside of it, and so that's what gives you the flavor. You could cook this on a really low temperature for a long time, and it's still going to cook all the way through, but this is going to give, like I said, this is going to give it a little bit more flavor to it. And flank steak is very thin. Like with all the meat, everybody asks me, well, how long do you cook it? And you know, what temperature and everything. Well, everybody's oven is different. Everybody's grill is different. Always use a meat thermometer. And that way there is absolutely no question as to, you know, is it done right? What we're looking for is about 135 to 140. That's going to give you a nice medium rare to medium with this. Now, obviously, this part of the flank steak's a little bit thicker. This is a little bit thinner, so this is going to be cooked more. But if you have, you know, a couple of people, some people like it a little bit more cooked. If you can, if you take a look, like we were talking about, you can see the grain in this meat. So it's kind of like just the opposite of a tenderloin, where it's very hard to find the grain in tenderloin. This has got a very distinct and pronounced grain, which means you can't treat it the same way. It is going to be tougher, but it's how you cook it and how you slice it that's going to make the difference. Now, there's different ways of tenderizing meat, one of which is what we call chemically, and that's with a marinade, which usually has some sort of acid in it. The acid breaks down the muscle fibers. There's mechanically. Mechanically is what we're going to do here. Now, we did put a marinade in, but this one, if you remember, I didn't really put any vinegar or anything of acid in it. So mechanically is we're going to take it and slice it very thin. But with the flank steak, you don't slice it straight down. You slice it on what's called the bias, which I'm going to show you here in a little bit. You can see here along the edge, you get it nice and brown. That's what's going to give you the flavor. Like I said, ideally, you'd want to do this on a grill, and but for what we can do here, I wanted to show you more of the principle of it, of what you do with it, and from there you can take and do it. Some people ask me about doing things on the big green egg. I've never cooked with one. I've heard they're great. I just don't have any experience in, so I can't tell you anything about that. But I can tell you the principles, and which are the same whether you're doing it on this flat top griddle or a cast iron skillet or a grill, green egg, whatever. It's going to be about the same thing. So again, you can see now that it's cooked, you can actually see this grain a little bit better. You can see how the lines in that are so distinct. And the more pronounced the grain is, the tougher the piece of meat's going to be. However, if you handle it right, it won't be tough. So what I'm going to do with this is we're going to pop it onto the rack. And again, this is, I would leave it on here a little bit longer, but we're doing this for demonstration purposes. So this is going to go in. I just put it on a rack so it drips down in there. We're going to put it in a 350-degree oven and wait for it to get to about 135. And then we'll take it out and I'll show you how to slice it. All right, now for the last part. To see the flank steak, first of all, you're going to see that it's already been cut into. That's because yesterday when we did the video, I didn't realize the microphone was shut off. So luckily I saved this piece to show you all. And the main thing with the flank steak, like I said, is the coarse grain. So we want to cut across that. So what I'm going to do is take, we don't cut it straight down. You cut it on what's called the bias. So we're going to slice it nice and thin, just like this. And ideally, you want it to be a nice, this is closer to medium than medium rare, which is fine. But the thinner you can get it, the better. And what we're doing is breaking, or actually cutting through the muscle fiber, which tenderizes. So this winds up being a nice tender piece of meat and something that normally wouldn't be. So again, we're going to cook this in the oven. I did this one to about 137 or so. Bring it out, let it rest. Let it sit there for about 10 minutes before you cut it. And that's with any meat. Usually the larger cut of the meat, the more you want to let it sit. And what this does is it helps it kind of reabsorb the juices. And if you don't wait, when you cut into it, you're going to lose a lot of liquid. You'll see it go all over the cutting board and everything. So by letting it rest for about 10 minutes or so, that'll help you keep the juices in there and give you a much better piece of meat. So anyway, from start to finish, that's what we do the flank steak. It's a simple process as long as you do it correctly, and we will be coming to you with more of these as time goes on.